In the studio with me, it's Joey. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
You were in Hokkaido to teach English, right?
Yeah, I was there from 2009 to 2012, so for 3 years in Hokkaido.
What made you to decide to go to Japan?
I guess a lot of things kind of inspired me to go there, but to teach English, I heard about the JET program, and it just sounded like a really awesome opportunity to be able to go over there to experience Japanese life without being a tourist. Yeah, just to get the experience of teaching and decide if that was the path that I wanted to go down for the future for me.
For the people who don't know about JET program, what is the JET program? Could you tell me about it?
So the JET program, which stands for, I think they might have changed it now, so Japan Exchange or... Japan Exchange Teaching Program, something like that. They may have changed it or I might be wrong with that. So the way that it works is a government initiative in Japan to get people to start speaking English more in Japan and to bring more cultural diversity to Japan and that sort of thing. And there's just that opportunity for people in English-speaking countries like Canada and America and the UK, Singapore, etc., for those people to go over to Japan, because we're not in Japan, go over to Japan and bring a bit of their culture to the country, and as well as being able to speak with the people there and just teach them how to speak English and how to use it in an everyday situation.
So do you get to choose where to go?
While you're applying, you have some choices as to where you'd like to be placed, but you might not necessarily be able to be placed there. So I know some people that applied to go to Okinawa because they love hot, tropical, sunny places, and then they got put up in Hokkaido, which is completely opposite and snowy and cold. So I applied for Hokkaido because I'm used to the cold being from Canada, and I got that. So yeah, Hokkaido compared to Japan, though, is almost tropical. So.
Really? Hokkaido is pretty cold, though, but compared to Canada, it's okay.
Compared to my city is Winnipeg, and that's kind of right in the middle of Canada, and we can get down to minus 40, minus 50 degrees Celsius with a wind chill, and Hokkaido can, I don't know, get maybe to minus 20, but most days in the winter, I think it's about minus 6, so minus 6 is like, I don't know, t-shirts and shorts for us in Winnipeg.
Hokkaido worked well for you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it and learned how to snowboard over there because there's a lot of different ski-joes over there, and they're pretty reasonably priced, and secondhand snowboards for really cheap costs, and it was good.
So what sort of miscommunications have you had in Japan?
Yeah, daily. I think we had daily miscommunications about various things. I remember just coming to Japan and being kind of astounded by how many different rubbish systems there were. So, you know, like bottle caps go in one rubbish system, paper goes into another, plastic goes into another, glass goes into another. If you want to get rid of a TV, you have to buy a special sticker and put it on that TV, and then it comes, I don't know, you phone somebody or a truck comes out a certain day and newspapers need to be bundled in a certain way. So it's like, how do I just like at home, we just throw everything in one bin, put it outside, and it disappears, and it's like magic.
Who's gonna teach them all to you?
Yeah, I kind of had to learn, but I maybe learned the hard way a couple of times, because I remember going to school one day, and one of the teachers that I taught with quietly pulled me aside and said that my rubbish was found inside the place where you put your rubbish, and I apparently had put the wrong rubbish with the wrong rubbish bag on the wrong day. So
that's awkward things to discuss
yeah,
about.
A little bit. Yeah, and it was kind of awkward because it was like dirty tissues mixed with paper, and I thought, tissue and paper, it's kind of the same, isn't it? But he told me that they discovered it was mine through process of elimination, and they saw that I was practicing some Japanese kanji, and they could see it through the bag and saw the word samurai, samurai, samurai written many times, so it must have been mine because Japanese people don't write like that. So it looked like a huge process to find out who the culprit was, and then, you know, I was pulled aside to make sure that this never happens again.
Oh no, but by the way, you were practicing how to write samurai in kanji.
Yeah, I know it now, yeah.
Was it hard to learn Japanese?
I think Japanese is quite a challenging language. I wouldn't say it's the hardest language in the world, but it is quite a challenging language and very different from English. You use different types of Japanese with different people. You can use more casual kind of Japanese with friends and a more formal Japanese with coworkers, and then a really crazy, strong, good, respectful Japanese type with, I don't know, maybe the emperor. I never met the emperor, so I never had to use that Japanese. But I think that there's just so many components to the language. There's 3 alphabets, so that's really confusing, especially kanji. And then, writing on top of it is also quite difficult. But I think over time, you get better at it, especially if you keep practicing it or have somebody to practice it with. And I had somebody that I worked with once a week to teach me Japanese. So, that helps.
How do you find keigo, the polite way of saying?
Keigo, I think, is quite complicated.
There is a certain level of keigo as well.
Yeah. Oh, right. I never kind of delved into that area of Japanese that was kind of beyond my study.
You spoke to pretty much casually to Kocho sensei. Principal?
Yeah, at times. I think I knew enough kind of polite Japanese to get me by, but I thought that, with my coworkers, I'd been working with them for a while already and thought I could, try to start speaking to them casually. And so, talk to my Kocho sensei in a really casual way, and he kind of was astounded that I was talking like that. And, one of my Kocho sensei said, Joey sensei, can you please sign this paper? And I said, mendokusai, which is, that's a pain in the butt. And
you wouldn't say that at all in Japan.
I
but
know that. No,
I get the joke here.
Yeah.
In English, it's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, a little bit sarcastic, but he's like, hey, well, that's so, that's a bit rude. And I was like, ooh, okay, maybe I'll not try to use that sort of Japanese with my superiors in the future. So.
Yeah, I find in English people joke around a lot.
Yeah.
So when I came here first, I thought, well, why people are lying all the time? They're making jokes, but why you need to talk like that?
Yeah.
It was hard to tell. Are you telling truth or joking?
Yeah. It's a bit hard to read sometimes whether people are joking around with you or being serious. And
now I'm completely comfortable joking around. I even make jokes myself.
Yeah.
It's okay, but to start with, that was hard.
Yes. So it's a bit of an adjustment. So just realizing that, there's different types of jokes that you can use in Japan, like oyaji gag.
Oyaji gag?
Yeah.
Is it the daddy joke?
Daddy joke or, something like that, like a pun. So you're kind of... Pun.
How do you spell it?
P-U-N. Yeah, so it's kind of a play on words. So you could say like denwa ni denwa, playing with the 2 different, I don't know what you call it, 2 different words that sound the same but have 2 different meanings.
Yeah.
So we would call that a pun.
Is there a very traditional?
I think Kiwis use puns all the time.
Can you give me example? Popular one like futon ga futonda.
Yeah, futon ga futonda. So like the futon exploded or something like that.
Denwa ni denwa is a good one.
Yeah, I think like in English, you'd see as a really terrible example, you might go to a donut shop and you would say, I donut like that.
I know its name to explain oyaji gag, but how?
Oyaji gags are pretty lame to begin with. So.
Was it difficult to settle into school life?
Yeah, I would say it was an adjustment. Just kind of, reading the atmosphere and seeing what was expected of me in school. Just kind of coming in for the first time into a Japanese school, I kind of came with, lots of ideas like, we're going to do this and we're going to have, an awesome English program and we're going to add lots of speaking and we'll play lots of games and all that sort of stuff. And I found very quickly that my ideas, weren't so welcome straight away, or, I had to kind of build some groundwork and build people's trust before introducing some of these ideas that I had. And I found that a little bit challenging, and just kind of understanding what I was there for and what was expected of me in school and in class. And, in Japan, there's a lot of unspoken language. So, different sounds that Japanese people make, or different facial expressions that you kind of need to read, whether that means yes, you can do that, or no, you can't do that. And
it is hard to tell, I guess, to start with.
It can be. Like, I remember I went, I was going to class with one of the other teachers I was teaching with, and I asked him, can I take my drink bottle to class? And he went, Muskashi. And I was like, oh, does that mean no? Like, there was no direct, no, you shouldn't do that. But it was just like...
Because it's too rude to say no to your face.
Yeah.
We just say, and sometimes even smile.
Yeah.
And not to say anything.
Yeah.
That gives mixed message, but that's clearly no to Japanese people.
So I figured that out after 3 years of being there. But at the beginning, it was like, oh, what is he trying to say? Or like, does that mean no? Like, can I just push my luck and just take it anyways? Like, what are they going to do? Like, am I going to like be super culturally insensitive if I don't? So, you know, just reading those small little things.
But do you do that yourself now? Or
take a drink bottle to class?
No, I mean, I think it's your right to do that anyway. When you speak in Japanese, do you think like Japanese way? Because sometimes yes means no kind of thing.
I might tend to do that a little bit. I don't know. I think, you know, if I'm talking to Japanese people or when I was in Japan, I would sort of revert to speaking more like Japanese. I would never be direct to a teacher and say like, no, like, we can't do that sort of thing. I would, you know, take the mannerisms that I learned over time and apply it to the situation. Whereas, you know, now in New Zealand, I probably wouldn't take a Japanese approach to talk to the teachers that I work with because they won't understand. Like, I remember when I went back to Canada, after going to Japan, I was working in a camera shop and somebody was asking me something and I was like, and, you know, was kind of using these different mannerisms and somebody said, oh, you make a lot of interesting sound effects when you're thinking about things.
Oh, that's interesting. You don't do that in English?
Not usually. I guess we have some sound effects, you know, like if you're listening to somebody speaking, you might say or or, you know, those sort of agreeing sound effects, but I don't think we have as many sound effects that you use where people need to read what you're thinking in your mind, if that makes sense.
So instead of saying, that's difficult, how do you say that no politely in English?
No, please.
That's direct though.
Yeah, we'd say, that sounds like a good idea, but maybe we could do this, this, and this. So recognizing that, you know, it's not necessarily a bad idea. Sometimes it is a really bad idea, but nobody likes to hear that their idea is bad. But they might, you know, sidetrack what that person was suggesting and suggest something else instead, maybe. Or at least maybe that's my approach.
And some students came to you and speak in English?
In Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah, some students who are quite bold and, you know, really wanting to try their English would come up and try to have a conversation. And at times, you know, we could have a conversation that flowed for a long time. And then other times it would be a couple of sentences like, how are you? And I'd say, I'm fine. And they'd be like, what's your favorite color? And I'd be like, oh, this is a strange conversation. It's orange. And they'd be like, okay, nice to see you or nice to meet you, and I'd be like, okay, bye, and then it would be done. But then, you know, other times we'd have with other people, we'd have a long conversation, and it might be kind of broken English or a mix of Japanese and English, but yeah, but yet other people might have really good English, but not feel confident enough to use it. I know, like, when we would have our bonenkais and that sort of thing, I wouldn't hear teachers speak English all year until the bonenkai, and then all of a sudden they would have, like, after maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 beers, all of this like amazing English started coming out, and it'd be like, whoa, like I didn't even know you could speak English, and like, why don't you use it? And
that's a shame they didn't really talk until the end of the year. Try to speak.
Yeah. And then, you know, the next day we go to school and then it's like nothing ever happened. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's like, whoa, what happened to that person that I knew last night that was, you know, talking in English? But yeah, it's just back to normal.
Maybe alcohol helped a bit.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, something.
Have you been to Japanese karaoke?
Yeah, I'm a horrible singer, to be honest. So
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All that matters is you have fun.
Maybe twice or 3 times.
Japanese karaoke is quite different compared to New Zealand one, right?
Yeah. In Japan, you go into a small little room with a few friends or a big group of friends, and there's a telephone there where you can order drinks and food and that sort of thing. And then there's a giant phone book. Maybe they've changed it. I think some are more modern. Now it's
more of a tablet
now instead of yeah, I think the first time I went there, it was like a phone book of songs.
Yeah, but there's always a traditional big book to find a song.
But yeah, you choose which song you want, and then, you know, there's a couple of microphones and a TV there with some cheesy videos that are playing in the background while the words are sort of playing, and then you attempt to sing the song in tune as well as you can. And some people have amazing voices, which is always terrible because it makes everyone who doesn't know how to sing feel really bad and ruins the experience.
Oh, you don't need to feel that way. The tips to enjoy Japanese karaoke is have fun. That's all matters, really.
It's good that it's private, I think. So hopefully, you know, what stays in that little booth doesn't leave that booth ever. So
which do you prefer?
In front of people or the small
Japanese
room?
Karaoke?
Neither, but if I had a choice, probably the small room. Yeah.
What do you miss most about Japan?
Yeah, I think what I miss most about Hokkaido is probably the snowboarding. I just miss the snow there. It's probably some of the best that you'll ever find in the world. And, you know, just the food as well, the fresh sushi and, fresh ikura donburi is my favorite food. Yeah, it's so good. And just friends as well from Japan. So, yeah, at some point, hoping to go back with my wife and, just experience it over there again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me in.